Well, we know where we're going, but we don't know where we've been. And the future is certain. Give us time to work it out.
Every industry has demands, it has requirements, it has things that you must do if you want to be successful. And looking at the particular YouTube content creation in my sphere of interests, I've learned that what the audience needs, what the industry demands, are more skits and bits and wacky characters for me to have arguments with and engage with. So, without further ado, let us bow to industry expectations and introduce the latest, hottest, coolest, wackiest Jimquisition character. We get there or there or... we'll say there. Everybody say hello to the Chunky Grumbler! It's the Chunky Grumbler! Have you got anything to say for yourself? oh, Chunky Grumbler, you're so angry at God. Because so-called AAA publishers don't have any original thoughts rattling around in the heads of their obscenely overpaid executives, you tend to find that once one company gloms onto an idea, the others soon follow with reckless abandon and pure shamelessness. This is seen in the broken boom and bust cycle of game genres and ideas, how every company wanted a military shooter, before every company wanted a rhythm game, before every company wanted a MOBA, before every company wanted a battle royale. We see this parroting when it comes to their terminology too. Soon after a few games started offering silver and gold editions of their games, the system became codified to the point of normalcy, and now many games offer factory standard obligatory silver and gold editions. Though many games still use the term deluxe or digital deluxe edition to describe the silver tier, and none of this stops some companies from pumping out half a dozen special editions per game, Ubisoft. Soon after it was decided live services would be a marketable buzz term, everyone in the industry jumped on board and started using it, rapidly mobilizing to normalize their erosion of variety and genre definition within the game industry. It's definitely catchier than games as a service, which was the old buzz term they used to dress up the fact they were selling over-monetized, undercooked games. Most recently, you may have noticed that more and more publishers are using the term a roadmap, appropriating tech terminology to package the fact that they're selling you games without content. A roadmap in the tech industry is a strategy of short and long-range goals supporting a long-term plan. Roadmaps identify needs and how to fulfill said needs, aim to predict and tackle changes in the industry, and act as a general skeleton to wrap the plan meat around. A roadmap in the so-called AAA game industry means a JPEG of pictures and words telling you how the game you bought right now won't be finished until next year. Roadmap is the latest industry buzz term, and it's being used as the next phase of the game industry's exploitation of the early access concept. That old gambit where you buy games before they're done on the expectation that they will at some point be done. Early access is meant to mean that you're supporting in-development games from mostly independent creators who need extra funding, but it's all too often used as an excuse to pump out buggy, broken, unfinished shite with no intention of ever improving it. Because they're expected to already have plenty of money knocking about, AAA publishers like EA can't generally get away with calling any of their major releases early access titles, so they've just gone ahead and thrown out their games with incomplete features anyway. And of course, since these games aren't listed as early access games, you don't know at the point of sale whether or not you're buying some incomplete shite. The release of software like Star Wars Battlefront 2015 and Street Fighter V were so lacking in content at launch that I coined the term early triple access to describe them, because functionally they operated the same way. Release now, take the money now, finish it later. Though Star Wars Battlefront 2015 had the sheer fucking nerve to charge extra for it too, finishing the game off via its Season Pass content. Anyway, with the rise in marketability of the live service concept, game publishers have been creaming their fucking jeans, because it means that early triple access has basically become the new normal. The release now, finish later mentality that started when video game patches first became widespread and patch culture took hold has become not only normal but anticipated and expected, largely because the AAA industry came together and started embracing it in unison, almost as if they came together as one in a concentrated effort to normalise their bad behaviour. You know, like how microtransactions in $60 games were once rightly viewed as aberrant and kinda fucked up, but the concept's been beaten into people's heads so effectively that barely anyone cares anymore. Except me, and people think I'm fucking weird and unreasonable nowadays because of it. I'm not the weird one, it's the games that are weird. You've gotta believe me, it's the games! It's the games! Anyway, the excuses, the packaging of bad ideas, and the bad ideas themselves often spread through the mainstream game industry like a fucking virus. And roadmaps are the latest, hottest infection. Because so many AAA games are live services now, they're sold under the promise that, like an early access game, what you buy is but a sliver of what it will become. The idea of selling games as services instead of finished products, an idea also appropriated from the MMO concept, is like a dream come true for AAA publishers, as they no longer have to dress up or be ashamed of the fact that they're shoveling garbage into your face. Bethesda released an embarrassment of a formless, sterile, creatively bereft non-game in Fallout 76, but it's okay because there's a roadmap of planned content for the game that was sold with barely any content. Sure, the game was sold at a starting price of $60 in fucking November 2018, but look, in spring 2019, there's a wild Appalachia update with stuff to do. Months later, then there's something in summer and even something in winter. A goddamn year later, after most people long ago stopped playing because Fallout 76 is unfiltered, shit-stained swill. Were you like me, a gullible enough fucking prick to buy Anthem for real money? Did you find it a boring, drab, sluggish game where you spend more time standing around listening to boring dialogue or flying through the boring sky? You'd be right to, because that's what it was. But it's okay, you libertine swine! The game had a 90-day roadmap of shit that should have been in the game when the goddamn money changed hands. In the meantime, enjoy shooting and collecting guns with incrementally better stats, unless it was that starting gun that was superior to all the other guns, because Anthem is a broken load of deficient drivel. At this point, I would like to address a number of people in my audience who think that I've been shitting on Anthem a bit too much, beating a dead horse, going on about it. The issue with that is, I really enjoy doing it, so I'm gonna probably keep doing it. Even the stores selling you the games are in on the act. Epic Games recently published a roadmap for the Epic Store, providing its long-term plan for such forgettable backburner features as a goddamn shopping cart. Roadmaps are everywhere. Fucking Dirt Rally has a roadmap. The Division 2 obviously has a roadmap. Forza has a roadmap. Battlefield 5 gets a roadmap. Everyone gets a roadmap. Now, like with most ideas that have been overexploited in the game industry, the core fundamental idea of a roadmap is not inherently bad. In fact, some roadmaps can belong to very good games and are implemented well. The brutally entertaining Dusk was already a well-made and amusing title, even in early access, but its post-launch content is stuff that simply bolsters the solid base content. Additions like a new game plus, additional achievements, co-op, stuff that is far from needed to make Dusk good, because Dusk's already good. It's a roadmap that makes a good game better, not a bland game vaguely interesting, as is the case with some of the previously mentioned titles. Cough. Anthem. Cough. Sadly, the hackfuck mountebanks within major publishers would rather exploit the concept of a roadmap to better clothe what they've really been doing for years, devaluing their games, portioning off more and more content for their microtransactions and their season passes, and rushing software out without polish or feature completion in order to meet deadlines at the expense of product quality. Game publishers have, in effect, become reverse wimpies, nega-wimpies if you will, where Wimpy would gladly pay a Tuesday for a hamburger today, EA would gladly get paid now for a hamburger Tuesday. A really bad hamburger, with some dog hair on the meat served on a plate that you're sure someone had been sick on before they wiped it off with an oily dish rag. Here's your brass bloody tacks. Fuck roadmaps if you can't sell me a good fucking game at launch. If I'm bored now, I don't care what's in store for me if I stay bored for another 3 months. Much less an entire fucking year from now. I don't care where you're going, I care about where you are. At the point of sale. If you know what's coming, why wasn't it there when I paid for the fucking game? Maybe, if you spent more time putting things in the game when it's allegedly in development and less time working out what you'll put in it a year from now, you'd actually have a good game at launch. Not a humiliating joke of a product that gets forgotten and lost in an oversaturated sea of endless live service filth. And let's not forget, these companies are seriously fucking banking on their games being successful, on making all of the money if they're prepared to support it sight unseen for a year or longer. There's no guarantee you'll get everything you were promised in your roadmap, as we found out when Final Fantasy XV director Hajime Tabata left Square Enix and they cancelled 3 planned DLC updates for the game. Unforeseen circumstances can happen, games can underperform and have publishers cancel support. A director for the game could just up and leave. Any number of things could disrupt a roadmap, and if the base game is rubbish, which Final Fantasy XV wasn't, but if it is, you're basically sold a bill of goods instead of a video game, something that was planned to be shite at launch and won't get any better. It's a paradox to expect us to be engaged by an unengaging game until it gets engaging content. Fallout 76, with its meaningless content loop and lack of player destination, a game of wandering about for the sheer ruddy sake of wandering about, isn't compelling enough to last a week, let alone the months required for its first big update. I was bored of it after less than 1 day, and yet I meant to hang on from November 2018 until spring 2019? What kind of tin pot bugger circus is that? You know, once game publishers figured out that they could get us to pre-order fucking DLC, it was all over. The moment the season pass took hold and companies learned to swipe money up front for thoroughly nebulous content, some of which ain't even conceptualized at the point of sale, they likely learned they could get away with anything. And they learned further with games as a service before they became marketed as live services, threadbare releases that took their sweet time becoming something worth a shit. And I'm looking at you, For Honor, with its 20 fans who tell me, oh, the game's good now, you should really take a look at it now, play it again, now, not when you bought it, it wasn't good when you paid for it, but it's good years later. Fuck you, For Honor. Big piece of shit. And surely they started learning the lesson back in the late 2000s when patch culture first took off. Do you remember when Dead Island had a day 1 patch with 37 fixes for really glaring issues? Shit like that was the very start, before it evolved into the concept of what I call the mega patch, most popularly seen with No Man's Sky, which took a year to go from having barely anything to do to having something to do. Day 1 patches became year 1 patches, and the patches became the roadmaps as publishers got comfortable with releasing ever less finished products with the assurance that people were eased into accepting the purchase of a Tuesday hamburger. And that's what Anthem is. Anthem is a Tuesday hamburger. How's that for a forced meme? Slippery slope arguments can often be fallacious in many circumstances, but in the video game industry, they seem to work out really well. Almost every slope I've called slippery in my 10 plus years of critique has turned out to be nearly fucking vertical and bathed in soapy cum. From the exponential liberties taken with monetization to the layoffs we're now seeing as a result of corporate overgrowth, the AAA game industry always takes the bad timeline route. Publishers want more money for less, and they've demonstrated they'll take any measure to get it, even if that measure is years of them slowly acclimating us to the horrible ideas that go against the interests of a paying audience. To predict that things in the mainstream industry will get worse, to predict that publishers will only ever get greedier and less scrupulous, that is the only truly reliable roadmap we have. You'd think that AAA video games had reached their zenith. Game publishers finally have what they want. Video games are not video games anymore, they're live services. They're not products, they're always in development. And at every stage, they've got to section off content to sell as DLC and season passes, whatever, deluxe editions, you know, all of that. And they've managed to lace microtransactions through everything. Some games still exploit in-game gambling. They look like they have everything. But I've been in this game a long time. I don't know why I tapped my hat instead of my head. I've been in this game a long time, right? And one thing I've learned is there is no zenith. There is no basement floor. There is no depth deep enough things are shit now. The game industry will come up with another shit idea, or another good idea that they turn shit by everyone doing it and finding new and more grotesque ways to exploit it. The industry has no bottom. And that's just one thing I've learned doing this job for as long as I have. So, it's all a bit shit really, but we still have the chunky grumbler to keep us amused in these dark times, don't we? Chunky grumbler, you hate God so much, which is funny because everybody else thanks God for me. Even Jesus thanks God for me.